Uh, Back to Fight Island again. We haven't really seen you since your last TJ Dillashaw fight. Obviously, weren't the scheduled opponents, so I'll ask right out of the gate. How prepared were you when you got this call? Because we had spoken in the past. I think it was before the Aldo Yan fight, and you said you were staying ready just in case that fight didn't happen. So, was it the same case for this? You were just ready to step in, knowing Aljamain might not make it.
Yeah. I have been in gyms with like a lot of really, big names for a really long time. And I know that that's like a really easy way to get a title shot is just to, be more prepared than everyone else in the division. So, yeah, that was kind of the idea. Also, I know Sterling had mentioned he wanted to fight in November. So when I saw that it was an October date, I knew that, something was not going well for him. And that was also just like another little thing where I was like, like this actually could be like a very real possibility. Um, so yeah, I was staying ready from about, probably like 7 weeks before this fight.
And looking at this matchup, this might be a weird question, but you obviously did a whole camp preparing for Aljamain, and now you're doing a camp to prepare for Yan. You kind of know what Yan doesn't really threaten many takedowns, doesn't threaten much grappling. Is getting ready for Yan easier than preparing for Aljamain, considering we haven't really seen a lot of Yan's grappling and stuff.
All of my camps are kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest. I wouldn't call any of them easy, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I think that if there is anywhere where there's definitely going to be a huge advantage for me in this fight, it's definitely going to be in the grappling area. So, um, not having to worry about that as much maybe makes it easier.
Sure.
But no, I get my ass kicked almost every single day in camp, so I wouldn't call any of them easy.
And this, of course, this is for the interim title. And we've seen fighters like Justin Gaethje. He gets the belt, throws it on the ground, doesn't want it. Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, said he does view this as the culmination of the process. Which camp are you in? When you get the interim title, will you consider that a world championship?
Yeah, I think Aljamain had to retreat, and TJ's village is still on fire from when I set it on fire. So, if we're talking like ancient war type stuff, which is like how I like to view this game, it's just like funner for me to do it that way. Um, I'm the guy that can take the land. Those other two guys can't right now. I'm the guy that can take the land. So I'll see myself as champ. I know that most of the public sees Jan as the champ anyways. I know that I definitely will have some making up to do. Like I definitely still need to make up my two losses against Aljamain and against TJ also. But I'll go home with like a smile on my face, calling myself the champ if I win.
And then finally, Jan had said on the MMA Hour earlier this week that he plans to take you into deep waters, and that's where he will shine. So I would just like a response to that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he tries to do that with everyone, right? Like that's really no surprise. So, um, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Corey. Is one of the upsides to this fight that rematches can be hard to get in this sport. You know, if someone wins, they don't necessarily want to grant a rematch. If you win this title, you're either going to fight Aljamain rematch or TJ rematch. Is this one of the upsides to this fight?
Yeah, yeah. It would be beautiful for it to work out that way. I think that it just sucks having those two L's on my record. One because the Sterling fight was just like shitty and embarrassing for me. And then so I would definitely like to show that I'm definitely better than that guy. And I had a night that just wasn't good. And then same with TJ, where it's like I lost a decision that was this close, and if I'm being honest, probably could have gone either way. I definitely walked out of that cage a lot less beat up than TJ did, so it makes you feel a little bit weird about that. But no, man, I think it'd be beautiful if I get to avenge those two losses just right away after being the champ, and then I think that will even speak more to how good I am in the sport also.
Out of curiosity, I mean, all losses are probably shit, but do you view those two differently?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like the Aljamain loss was way more shit. Um, the TJ one was a little bit easier of a pill to swallow, just because I know that I beat him up and he didn't beat me up. That makes it a little bit easier of a pill to swallow, but it still sucks losing. You still lose just as much sleep that night.
I know you're confident in your abilities. All fighters are, but TJ is considered by some to be the best bantamweight, right? So with the success you had against him, do you look at someone like Yan, who some people perceive to be easier? He's not like an easy fight, but easier. Do you take confidence from your performance against TJ into this one?
I definitely gained a lot of confidence in that one, but to be honest, man, I don't go into too like I go in definitely believing that I can win, but I don't really let confidence sway how hard I train or how hard I'm gonna fight or anything like that, man. Like, I know that all of these guys are dangerous. We're all just men, including myself, and I treat everyone like they can hurt me really bad, and so I would say that I'm definitely confident that I had such a good performance against TJ, and a lot of the stuff that I was working on in training was working against TJ as well. But I definitely am not over, thinking and overly optimistic about how TJ's skills stack up to Jan's.
Last thing for me, Aljamain's the champion, right? And some people look at that in a weird way. But do you think the UFC should have a time limit on when he needs to be ready to defend that belt?
Yeah, man. I think that just the way that MMA is set up, it's every 10 pounds. There's not a lot of weight classes. I think that if we're talking too long, that's a lot of guys that are just sitting on the bench waiting to accomplish their dream while you're on the bench. Like that is just, yeah. I think that they should set like more clear cut rules on things like that.
Corey, obviously Peter's fought here as well, but how much confidence do you take from or how comfortable do you feel being here? And obviously you had such a great win last October. Do you know how nice does it feel to be back? How comfortable, and do you kind of tap into those memories now that you're back here?
Yeah, kind of. It definitely makes it feel a lot less weird, like staying up all night and sleeping all day. But yeah, man, I had a really good time in Abu Dhabi last time. And yeah.
I was going to ask as well, do you visualize, getting your hand raised with the belt? You mentioned how much it would mean to you going home with that belt. Do you look that far forward, or is it purely just on your opponent come Saturday night?
It's definitely on the outcome, but I definitely don't spend too much time visualizing the outcome. I'm not one of those guys that thinks that if I sit here and think about, stepping on $100 bill, then I'll walk outside and step on $100 bill. But I definitely do my visualizations where I go through the fight in a lot of detail, things going wrong, things going right, and just what I want it to look like, and the things that me and my coaches have established as ways to beat Yan. And I definitely go over those, for about at least an hour a day.
And just lastly, I know you touched on it, just what would it mean to you to be taking that belt home to Colorado?
Yeah, it mean a lot, man. I worked really hard for it, man. Like I worked really, really hard for it. I didn't do a lot of partying, and it's like years and years of hard work, right? Like I didn't do a lot of partying in college because I was at practice. I didn't make a lot of friends, in the last few years because I was always at practice. I don't have a lot of the same relationships I had with old friends because of, me working my ass off every single day, and me putting a lot of my energy or all of my energy into becoming a world champ. And I think that that's the only reason I'm sitting here is because I've been doing that for a really long time now.
Thank you. Best luck.
Thanks.
Corey, over here. Hi. What's on the line for you in this fight other than the interim belt?
What's on the line? I definitely don't want to go home and lose a bunch of sleep over losing again because losing sucks. That's always what's on the line, though, right? Like, it's either winning or losing, right? Like, a million things can happen in this sport. I just lost my last fight. Now I'm fighting for a world championship. So I don't really think too far of like, is this good? Is this bad? Obviously, winning is better, but losing sucks, man. Like that's what's always on the line for me is I hate losing. I hate losing all those nights of sleep. I hate everything about losing except for, the learning process that usually comes like a month later or whatever. But yeah, that's always on the line for me, man. I hate losing.
So let's imagine if Jan would rematch this weekend with Sterling. So who would win, in your opinion?
I think Jan would definitely have won that fight against Sterling for the second time.
That's all I think.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.